Cora Blake stepped out of the city bus onto the gleaming plaza of Nexus Innovations, her pulse quickening. The morning sun gleamed off the glass towers, casting sharp reflections on the immaculate marble floors stretching ahead. She wiped the light sweat from her brow and adjusted the strap of her small bag. Her workout clothes clung damply to her frame, a black tank top, gray leggings, and worn sneakers, and her tousled hair was tied back hastily in a loose ponytail. Despite her casual, disheveled appearance, she held her head high. The lobby buzzed with motion. Impeccably dressed employees in suits and polished shoes hurried past, their eyes flicking toward her with quiet curiosity. Whispers floated through the air like a subtle current. A young man in a crisp navy blazer glanced at her, raised an eyebrow, and muttered to a colleague. Nearby, a woman in high heels smirked as she discreetly sized up Cora's gym gear. The contrast was stark. Nexus was a world of precision and professional polish, and Cora's arrival felt like a deviation. Leah Turner, a mid-level HR representative with an immaculately styled bob and tailored blazer, caught sight of Cora from across the room. Leah's lips curled into a sardonic smile as she strode over, her heels clicking authoritatively against the marble floor. Stopping just short of Cora, Leah eyed her up and down with thinly veiled disdain. "You must be new," Leah said, voice laced with mockery. "Look, before you get lost, could you do me a favor? I need someone to grab a stack of handouts from the supply closet for the afternoon meeting. And, maybe next time, wear something a little more appropriate? This isn't a gym." Cora returned Leah's gaze silently, tension flickering in the room as others watched the exchange with barely concealed amusement. Cora's lips curved into a faint, polite smile as Leah's sarcastic request hung in the air. Without a word to correct the assumption, she nodded once and said quietly, "Right away." It was a neutral response, carefully measured, not a refusal, not an acceptance. Instead of heading toward the supply closet, she turned on her heel, her sneakers barely making a sound against the polished marble floor. Heads swiveling subtly, employees whispered behind hands and office monitors, ears catching fragments of the exchange. Passing through the bustling office floor, Cora walked with a steady confidence that belied her casual appearance. She held her yoga mat under one arm like an ordinary accessory, but there was an undeniable authority in her stride. She bypassed several clusters of staff who cast curious glances her way, expressions shifting between surprise, confusion, and quiet speculation. The scent of strong coffee and printer toner filled the air, mingling with the hum of keyboards and low conversations, a symphony of focused work. She reached the glass doors labeled Human Resources and entered without hesitation. Inside, the open-plan space was a sea of soothing neutral tones, muted chatter, and soft footsteps on carpeted floors. At the reception desk, David Morgan looked up and smiled warmly, standing immediately to greet her. He was a man in his 50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that radiated kindness mixed with shrewd professionalism. "Cora Blake," he said, extending a hand. "We've been expecting you." His tone held a calm certainty, as though her arrival was the missing piece they'd been waiting for. Cora shook his hand, still mildly aware of the faint hum of gossip rippling through the main office. "Good morning, David." He gestured toward a nearby meeting room. "Please, come this way. The team will want to hear your plans soon, but first, let's get you set up." They moved into the sleek conference room, where light filtered softly through frosted windows. A projection screen loomed, and a polished table surrounded by executive chairs stood ready for strategic discussions. David settled into a seat, folding his hands on the table. "Nexus Innovations has ambitious goals, and you're the driver. Vice President of Product Development. A role with real influence." Cora nodded, the title confirmed something she had long prepared for. Yet, despite the formal weight of the position, she felt the refreshing lightness of being herself. No need for pretenses, no curated costumes. Back on the main floor, Leah returned to her station, visibly pleased with herself. She tapped a quick message on her phone and then leaned back in her chair, glancing around for an audience. Gathering a small group of colleagues close by, she lowered her voice but did not quite conceal her pride. "So this new girl shows up looking like she just ran a marathon," Leah said with an exaggerated roll of the eyes. "Guess what? I sent her hunting for handouts. Thought I'd test her out, see if she could keep up with the rest of us. Turns out, she didn't bat an eye. Took it all like a champ." She smirked, crossing her arms. "I'm telling you, no one slips past me. That's why this place runs smooth." Her colleagues laughed softly, impressed by Leah's self-assured tale of control. The office grapevine buzzed with low speculation about someone who could be so unassuming, yet unaffected by her initial treatment. Leah basked in the glow of being seen as the gatekeeper, the figure who knew the company's real players from the fringe. Meanwhile, Cora settled into the quiet calm of the HR office. David pulled up a chair next to her and began to share updates about current projects, team dynamics, and pressing challenges. Her eyes absorbed every detail, her mind already calculating strategic approaches, potential hurdles, and opportunities for innovation. Her casual clothes faded in significance compared to the weight of responsibility in front of her. She glanced briefly down at her sneakers, thankful she wasn't confined by standard office expectations. Today had been her choice, purposeful, a test of how Nexus handled unexpected disruptions to their polished image. David's voice interrupted her thoughts. "The team is ready for your introduction later this morning. They respect decisiveness, and I think they'll respond well when they see you in action." Cora's features tightened in a soft smile. "I look forward to meeting them." The clock ticked steadily. Outside the glass walls of HR, life at Nexus Innovations continued with its typical blend of ambition and subtle social navigation. Yet, beneath the surface hum, the first ripple of change had been set in motion, all sparked by the presence of a woman who defied easy categorization, walking calmly through a world eager to judge her by appearances. The conference room at Nexus Innovations was a perfect rectangle, where sleek minimalism met cutting-edge technology. Floor-to-ceiling glass walls allowed the bright morning sun to flood the space, but for the employees gathered there, the air was charged with a mixture of anticipation and whispered rumors. The hum of quiet conversations filled the room, punctuated by occasional coughs and the soft tapping of fingers on laptops. These were the people who created the company's future, the product developers, engineers, and project managers, all waiting for an announcement that promised to shift their working lives. Leah Turner, seated near the back, fluttered her eyes over the crowd with a barely contained smirk. She felt sure of her place, sure that the new girl, the one she had so casually corrected and assigned to menial tasks, was about to be confirmed as just another entry-level cog in the Nexus machine. Her confidence tingled in the air as she tapped her pen rhythmically against the table. This would be an easy win for her. The room fell silent as David Morgan, the senior HR director, stepped to the front. His silver hair caught the light, and his calm, authoritative presence commanded immediate attention. With a slight nod, he pulled up the presentation on the large screen behind him, then addressed the group. "Good morning, everyone," David began, his voice steady and clear. "Today, we're welcoming a new face to Nexus Innovations, someone who will be playing a pivotal role in our company's next chapter, Cora Blake, your new Vice President of Product Development." His eyes scanned the room, landing briefly on Leah, whose smug expression faltered ever so slightly. From the back of the room, Cora emerged quietly. Her gym clothes were impossible to ignore, sleeveless black tank top, gray leggings, and worn sneakers, but her posture was upright, composed, and radiated unmistakable authority. She carried her yoga mat under one arm, the symbol of her choice to arrive on her own terms. A ripple went through the crowd as Cora approached the podium. Leah's eyes widened, then blinked in disbelief. She swallowed hard, her confident facade beginning to crumble as she watched the disparity between her assumptions and the reality unfold. Others in the room shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances that mixed surprise with newfound curiosity. David gestured toward Cora. I won't spend long detailing her extensive experience, that's for her to share, but I will say that Cora has led international teams, transformed product lines that now dominate markets, and is known for her innovative approach and unwavering dedication. Her leadership will be instrumental in advancing our goals. Cora nodded briefly in acknowledgement, then stepped forward, placing the yoga mat gently on a nearby chair. Her voice was calm but resonant. Thank you, David, and thank you all for the welcome, she said. I'm aware that appearances can be deceiving, and I hope that today reflects more than just what I'm wearing. Her eyes scanned the room, holding steady contact with those who watched. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to lead. Together, we'll push boundaries and achieve results that not only meet but exceed expectations. The room, once charged with quiet skepticism, filled instead with a focused energy. Questions formed on lips, colleagues leaned in, and a buzz of whispered excitement began to build. The atmosphere transformed from one of judgment to one of professional respect. Leah, still seated but drained of her earlier bravado, felt a flush rise in her cheeks. She glanced down at her hands, realizing she had underestimated the woman she had dismissed so easily. For a moment, she grappled with the sudden sting of humiliation that followed the stark exposure of her misjudgment. The meeting continued with open exchanges, Cora answering questions with pinpoint insight and clarity. Her gym clothes faded into the background as her knowledge, experience, and vision took center stage. The team found themselves captivated by her practical leadership style and the genuine warmth beneath her firm direction. As the session drew to a close, David caught Leah's eye briefly, a quiet but unmistakable signal that the company's internal dynamics were already shifting, propelled by Cora's arrival and the clear message of change she brought. Walking out of the conference room, Cora moved with quiet confidence, dismissing the lingering glances of disbelief. Her journey at Nexus had truly begun, and the foundation for her leadership was laid in that very moment, marked by poise, capability, and an unshakable resolve that few had expected. The conference room was still abuzz with the afterglow of Cora's introduction when David Morgan stepped back up and took center stage once more. His eyes swept the room, commanding attention beyond the initial surprise. The shift from confusion to respect was palpable in the air, and David seized the moment. Let me provide a fuller picture of what Cora brings to Nexus Innovations, he began, voice steady and authoritative. He clicked to the next slide, which displayed a timeline of Cora's career. Before joining us, Cora was Director of Product Development at Titan Tech, where she successfully led a transformation that increased market share by 40% in under 2 years. She's managed cross-continental teams, navigating complex challenges from product design to launch strategy in highly competitive markets. The audience listened intently as David continued. She holds advanced degrees in engineering and business innovation. Her track record includes multiple industry awards for both product innovation and leadership excellence. Leah shifted uneasily in her seat as the room's atmosphere grew more charged with earnest attention. The air hummed with a mixture of respect and curiosity now firmly rooted in admiration for Cora's credentials. Cora stepped forward again, her voice ringing clear. I understand that some might raise eyebrows at my unconventional attire today. Let me clarify, I arrived straight from my morning workout. It's not a statement of rebellion but rather a choice to come in as myself and see how our culture responds to authenticity. I believe in leading with humility, practical honesty, and valuing substance over surface. I want to observe how people behave when first impressions don't fit expectations. Her gaze moved steadily across those seated. Her words settled in the room, a quiet challenge wrapped in sincerity. I don't believe that leadership is about fitting into a polished mold, she continued. It's about integrity, building trust, and creating an environment where people feel valued for their work and ideas, not just their appearance. I'm here to support innovation, but also to foster respect and collaboration. Expect fairness, openness, and decisiveness in my leadership. Her tone was warm but firm, creating space for connection as well as commanding authority. A few nods sprang up in the crowd, others looked thoughtful, measuring this new presence in their midst. One of the senior engineers raised his hand tentatively. How do you plan to address some of the communication gaps between teams on our latest projects? Those have been slowing us down. Cora smiled, appreciating the practical question. Great point. My immediate focus is on instituting regular cross-team syncs and an open forum where ideas and challenges can be shared transparently. We'll also review our current project tracking tools for efficiency improvements. It's crucial that our workflows empower rather than obstruct. David chimed in, her approach is pragmatic but progressive. We're in good hands. Leah sat quietly, absorbing the conversation, her earlier sarcasm replaced by a reluctant respect. The room, once rife with doubt and quiet judgment, felt transformed. The awkwardness that arose from Cora's initial appearance was replaced by focused acceptance, sparked by her credentials and, more importantly, her candid, grounded style. Later, as the meeting concluded, David summarized, "We're fortunate to have a leader like Cora who embraces authenticity and high standards. I expect all of you to join me in supporting her as we move forward." Cora nodded appreciatively. "I'm here not only to lead but to listen and learn. And I recognize that leadership requires demonstrating respect before expecting it in return. Let's make Nexus a place that celebrates curiosity, accountability, and real teamwork." After the formalities, a few coworkers approached quietly to introduce themselves. Their conversations were brief but warm, filled with professional enthusiasm and genuine interest. The mood in the room was optimistic, charged with a sense that a new chapter for the company had truly begun. Later in a quieter corridor, Cora explained more to David as they prepared for the day ahead. "I chose this approach deliberately," she said, brushing a strand of damp hair behind her ear. "Showing up as I am today was a test, not just of them, but of myself. To see how much appearances cloud judgment and to remind people that competence and character aren't wrapped in designer clothes." David nodded, impressed. "Your arrival has already shaken up the culture here, in the best way possible. People need this kind of leadership, strong, authentic, and visionary." Cora smiled. "Thank you, David. Now, it's time to build momentum. I want to inspire the team to push boundaries, not just follow routines." They walked back toward the main floor, the echo of their footsteps mixing with the ongoing rhythms of Nexus innovations, the clicks, the murmur of conversations, the whir of machines, all blending into a new, unfolding story under Cora's poised direction. The day's momentum bolstered by Cora's introduction, the atmosphere at Nexus Innovations shifted palpably by afternoon. Leah Turner sat across from David Morgan inside a glass-walled HR office, where the hum of the main office felt distant and insulated from the charged conversation taking place. David's tone was firm but measured. "Leah, I need to address your behavior this morning. The way you handled your assumptions about Cora was unprofessional, and it doesn't align with the inclusive culture Nexus strives to maintain." He paused, watching her reaction. "We value all employees regardless of first impressions, and leadership especially demands respect." Leah's cheeks flushed a deep crimson. The weight of her misjudgment settled hard. She nodded, biting back an initial defensive retort. I understand, she said quietly. I didn't realize. Her voice trailed off as the gravity of the reprimand sank in. David continued, because this isn't just about you, Leah. It's about setting an example for the whole team. To that end, we're assigning you to leadership training focused on communication and inclusion. It's important for you to grow alongside the company's vision. Leah exhaled slowly. The consequences were firm, but not career-ending. It was a chance to redeem herself. I appreciate the opportunity, she said with sincerity. Meanwhile, word of the afternoon's leadership announcement spread rapidly through Nexus. Conversations halted briefly wherever Cora's name surfaced, followed by consensus approval murmurs and discreet shows of respect. Employees began approaching her with greetings carrying genuine warmth and enthusiasm, a dramatic contrast to the initial skepticism. Zara Patel, a senior product designer, found Cora reviewing project outlines near the communal workstations. I wanted to say welcome, Cora. It's inspiring seeing leadership that values genuine connection, she said with a smile. Cora returned the smile with quiet gratitude. Thank you, Zara. Together, we'll make great strides. The office climate melted from judgment to collaboration with remarkable speed, a tangible testament to Cora's steady influence. By mid-afternoon, Cora was deeply engaged in a brainstorming session with department heads, skillfully guiding discussion toward actionable goals and encouraging fresh ideas. Her voice remained calm and assertive as she steered conversation, reflecting a clear command over her role and responsibilities. Later, as the evening lights softened through the large windows, Leah approached Cora in the elevator lobby. The silence between them held a tension thick with unspoken regrets and newfound understanding. Leah's hands twisted nervously in front of her. I wanted to apologize for earlier, Leah said, voice low but sincere. I let assumptions cloud my judgment. Cora turned to her, offering a composed, measured nod. Thank you, Leah. What matters now is how we move forward. There was no warmth, no invitation for further conversation, just professionalism and an unspoken question of what Leah would make of the second chance. Leah nodded, a spark of hope and resolve in her eyes. I won't let you down. Cora gave a brief, approving smile as the elevator doors slid closed, leaving Leah to reflect on the road ahead for herself and the company. As the office emptied, Cora walked confidently through the now quiet corridors. The yoga mat slung over her shoulder, her stride measured and assured. The polished floors gleamed beneath her steps, no longer just a symbol of the company's surface-level perfection, but the foundation beneath her transformative leadership. Every glance from those still present carried respect, every nod acknowledged her authority. The woman who arrived unnoticed that morning, dressed simply, unshackled by expectation, was now firmly in command. She was no longer the subject of whispered judgment but a catalyst for change, embodying a leadership rooted in authenticity, fairness, and vision. And as the night settled over Nexus Innovations, Cora Blake prepared to shape the company's future, one confident step at a time.